I am 96 years old. I landed on Omaha Beach on June 6, 1944, and for 73 years I never told anyone what I actually saw that day. Not my wife, not my kids, not the VA doctors who kept asking me why I couldn't sleep, not a single living soul. I'm sitting here right now in a house that's too quiet for a man who's lived this long. There's a cigar box on my nightstand. Been there for decades. Every morning I open it. Inside is a compass, small bronze, tarnished so bad you can barely read the markings anymore. The glass is cracked right down the middle. The needle still works though, still points north. Every single morning that little needle does its job, and every single morning I wonder why I couldn't do mine. This compass doesn't belong to me. It belonged to a man named Harold Myer, Sergeant Harold Myer from Lafayette, Indiana, a mechanic, had grease under his fingernails that never came out no matter how hard he scrubbed. I can still see his hands, thick fingers. Wedding ring he kept on a chain around his neck because it was too tight on his finger after his wife made him eat real dinners every night. And Harold is the reason I'm finally talking. See, I grew up thinking war was something noble, something you did and came home from and people shook your hand at the hardware store. I was 22 years old in 1943 and I thought I was invincible. We all did. Every kid on that bus heading to basic thought the same thing. This is going to be the thing that makes me a man. Harold didn't think like that. Harold was 34. He had a son, little boy named David, maybe 4 years old at the time. Harold didn't volunteer because he wanted medals. He volunteered because 6 boys from our town were shipping out, and he went to every single one of their mothers' houses and said the same thing, "I'll watch your boy." That's all he said, not, "I'll bring him home," not, "Everything will be fine." Just, "I'll watch your boy." And he did, through basic, through England, through every cold night where some kid was crying into his helmet. Harold was there, didn't make a fuss about it, just there, like a post you could lean on. The night before the invasion, we were on a transport ship in the Channel. You could feel the whole thing rocking and nobody was sleeping. Harold sat down next to me and pulled this compass out of his jacket, said his wife gave it to him at the train station when we shipped out. Said she ran alongside the train and pushed it through the window and yelled something he couldn't hear over the engine. He put it in my hand, said, "If something happens to me, you give this to David when he's old enough to hold it." I told him nothing was going to happen. He looked at me the way a man looks at a boy who doesn't know he's a boy yet, didn't argue, just nodded. June 6, 1944. The landing craft hit the sandbar and the ramp dropped and the whole world turned into noise. I don't know how to explain it to someone who wasn't there. People say it was loud. That's not the right word. Loud is a car backfiring. This was like being inside a drum that God was beating with a hammer. The air wasn't air anymore. It was metal, hot metal, moving in every direction. I went into the water chest deep, cold, the kind of cold that locks your jaw shut. I saw men going down around me. Not falling, going down, like someone pulled a plug underneath them and they just sank. The water was pink, then red. I didn't look at their faces. I couldn't. I made it to a hedgehog, one of those big steel crosses the Germans put on the beach to rip the bottoms off the boats. I got behind it and I pressed my body against it so hard the steel cut into my cheek. I could feel my heart beating in my teeth. That's when I heard him, 3 feet to my right, face down in the sand. Harold. He'd been hit through the throat, right through. He rolled over and I saw his face. His eyes were open, wide open. And the thing that broke me, the thing I've never told anyone, is that he didn't look scared. He didn't look brave. He looked confused, like a man who walked into the wrong room at a party and couldn't figure out how he got there. He grabbed my arm. His grip was so strong it left bruises I had for 3 weeks. His mouth opened and closed and opened again, but nothing came out except blood. It bubbled. I can still hear that sound, 73 years, and I can still hear the bubbling. I froze. I want to tell you I held his hand. I want to tell you I said something. I want to tell you I looked him in the eye and told him his boy would get the compass and his wife would know he was brave and that everything was going to be all right. But I didn't. I didn't do any of that. I just watched. I watched the way you'd watch something through a window, like it was happening on the other side of the glass, and I couldn't reach through. My whole body locked up. My hands wouldn't move. My mouth wouldn't open. I was 23 years old, and I was more afraid than I had ever been in my life. And the man who promised every mother in town that he'd watch their boys was dying 3 feet away from me, and I could not move. It took 4 minutes. I know, because I counted. My brain couldn't do anything useful, so it counted 240 seconds. That's how long it took Harold Myer to die on Omaha Beach, and for 240 seconds, the only thing touching him was sand. When it was over, his hand opened, just relaxed, like someone letting go of a rope. His eyes stayed open, still confused. I reached over and I took the compass out of his jacket. The glass had cracked, from the impact, from the fall, I don't know. But the needle still pointed north. The rest of that day is a blur. I couldn't tell you how I got off that beach. I couldn't tell you who pulled me forward. I know I fired my rifle. I know I made it to the bluffs. But the only thing I actually remember with perfect clarity is those 4 minutes. I came home in 1945, took a bus to Lafayette, walked to Harold's house. His wife, Margaret, opened the door. She was thinner, had lines on her face that weren't there before. Little David was behind her, holding a toy truck. She asked me one question, just one. Did he suffer? And I looked at her. This woman who handed a compass through a train window and yelled something her husband never heard. This woman who had waited 2 years for an answer to a question she was afraid to ask. And I said no. I said it was instant. I said he didn't feel a thing. I said he went fast and he went brave and he didn't suffer for a single second. I lied. I lied because I couldn't tell her about the 4 minutes. I couldn't tell her about the bubbling. I couldn't tell her that her husband died grabbing fistfuls of sand while a 23-year-old kid sat 3 feet away, too paralyzed to hold his hand. She cried, but they were relief tears, the good kind, the kind that come when you find out the worst version of the thing you imagined didn't happen. I put my hand in my pocket, felt the compass, and I walked away. I told myself I'd come back. I'd bring the compass when David was older, when he could understand, when the time was right. The time was never right. Because giving him the compass meant seeing Margaret again, and seeing Margaret meant she might ask more questions, and more questions meant the truth might slip out, and the truth would turn her relief tears into the other kind. So I waited, and the years stacked up like dishes in a sink you keep telling yourself you'll get to tomorrow. David Myer was killed in Vietnam. He was 29. When I heard, I went into my bedroom and opened the cigar box and held the compass, and I sat there until the sun came up. The boy who was supposed to carry it was gone. The woman who gave it was gone 5 years before that. Heart attack, died in her garden on a Tuesday. There was nobody left. and that compass has been sitting in that box on my nightstand ever since. I open it every morning. I hold it. The needle still points north. I don't. I'm telling you this right now, you, the person listening to this, because I know something about you. You've got something you haven't said. Maybe it's a phone call you keep putting off. Maybe it's an apology that sits in the back of your throat every time you see that person. Maybe it's 3 words you should have said 10 years ago, and now there's a wall between you and the other person, built out of silence, and you tell yourself there'll be a better time. There won't. I waited 73 years carrying a dead man's compass, waiting for the right moment. And the right moment doesn't come. It doesn't knock on your door. It doesn't send you a sign. The truth doesn't get lighter the longer you carry it. I need you to hear that. It gets heavier. Every single year that compass gained another pound. And now I'm 96 years old, and I can barely hold it. Don't sit there and nod your head and think, that's sad. What happened to that old man? This isn't about me. I'm done. My chapter's written. This is about you. Whatever you're carrying, the thing you haven't said, the person you haven't called, the truth you keep swallowing back down, put it down today. Not because it'll fix everything. It won't. Harold's still dead. David's still dead. Margaret still died thinking a lie was the truth. But I'll tell you what it'll do. It'll stop the counting. 73 years I've been counting those 4 minutes, 240 seconds on a beach in France, playing on a loop in a 96-year-old man's head every single night. You don't want that, trust me. You do not want that. Pick up the phone, write the letter, say the thing, because one morning you're going to open a box and realize there's nobody left to give it to. And that's worse than any beach. That's worse than any war.